the biggest challenge when it comes to balancing cybersecurity and innovation is simply properly allocating budget to each of those two things. And here's what I mean by that. So you could have the absolute best cybersecurity in the world. Let's say that you allocate 100% of your budget to it. That's great. You have a much lower likelihood of getting hacked, but there are other areas of the IT department that aren't getting the love and care that they need. And you could flip that the other way around. You could spend all of your budget on areas that improve productivity, on tooling, on additional staff. But if you don't have any budget allocated to cybersecurity, you have a huge risk profile because, again, you don't have anything allocated to cybersecurity. So I think striking that balance between properly allocating to your cybersecurity and properly allocating to all the other areas of IT, because there's so many, is really the key when you're trying to balance those two things. So I think that a lot of companies choose to allocate or increase their budget and only focus on cybersecurity because cybersecurity is in and of itself a very hot topic right now, and it probably always will be. And just to be clear, I don't think it's a bad thing that people are increasing their budgets for cybersecurity. I do think it has some cause for concern when they're increasing their budgets only for cybersecurity, especially if the company is growing through that period of time. Because let's say you went from 200 employees to 250 employees. You need to allocate more budget to the help desk. Maybe you need to hire another system administrator. Maybe you need to hire someone on the Microsoft 365 side. But if you go from 200 to 250 people and only increase your spend when it comes to cybersecurity, you're leaving 50 people unaccounted for in that IT budget. So I think that's a little bit unfortunate. A study came out recently where they showed that 54% of companies are increasing their IT spend, but they're only doing that for cybersecurity, which again isn't a bad thing. But I think you need to take a more holistic approach when it comes to allocating budget in your IT department. For companies that want to make sure that they are protected when it comes to cybersecurity, but they don't necessarily want to increase their cybersecurity spend, don't worry. You're not alone. Here are three big things that can basically get you covered while you allocate that spend elsewhere. So number one is going to be multi-factor authentication. You have to have this turned on in your org, and you should turn it on for every single account that you can. So some examples might be your Microsoft 365 account. You got to have multi-factor authentication turned on for that. Your billing accounts, your payroll software, your ERPs, your enterprise resource planning tools. Turn on MFA or multi-factor authentication for all of these. For those that are unaware, MFA is simply two or multiple different steps of authentication. Usually it includes something that you have and something you know. So an example of this would be, we're all familiar with this. You log into something, you give the platform something you know, which is your password, and then it sends you a token or a 6-digit code or whatever it may be to something that you have. So that could be your phone, it could be your phone number, it could be your email address, and just implementing multi-factor authentication can dramatically decrease your attack surface. The second thing that I would recommend, and this costs some amount of money, but a very negligible amount when it comes to overall IT budgets, is implementing some sort of user security awareness training tool. So these can be as complicated as you want to make them or as simple as you want to make them. But in its essence, what a SAT tool does is it sends out scheduled trainings to your users, and these trainings have the intent of educating the users on cybersecurity awareness topics. So a great example of this is shoulder surfing, which is when you're in a cafe and someone walks behind you and glares at your screen. They're surfing over your shoulder. Simply because of that, you can have the best cybersecurity in the world, but someone can always look at your screen. So being aware of that and being conscious of that, maybe putting your back to a wall or into a corner if you're working on really sensitive documents, is a simple thing that you really can't fix with any sort of tool. That is something you could only do with a user security awareness training. Oh, another example of that might be clicking on links. This is how it always happens. A phishing email gets sent to a user. They click on a link. They enter their information in. They're none the wiser. These attacks are getting very, very good. And then there's your breach right there. So implementing a SAT tool or a security awareness training tool can help train your users to identify things that might be risky links. And the last thing I would recommend, number 3, is some sort of cybersecurity suite. So this is probably the highest on the relative cost, but you also get a ton of massive benefits. So a cybersecurity suite is a vendor that provides a series of tools to different areas of your organization. So they'll have a tool for your computers. This is basically like antivirus, but like on steroids. And they'll also have a tool that you can put on your network that manages the network. And then you can also have a tool that you could put in the cloud that manages your cloud accounts. And this cybersecurity suite is so fantastic because all these different components can talk to each other. And then you have so much more visibility, and the vendor has better visibility into your organization to give you the most cybersecurity awareness, protection that they can. So those are the main 3 things that I would recommend that you can implement in your organization that will get you to a really good place when it comes to cybersecurity without blowing your budget out of the water. Your cybersecurity strategy can actually change a little bit depending on the industry that you're in. Manufacturing has actually become one of the most attacked industries in recent years. According to a report from IBM that came out in 2024 called their Threat Intelligence Index, you're not going to believe this, but manufacturing accounted for over 25% of all cyber attacks in 2023. The finance and insurance industry has been a prime target for hackers for a very long time because obviously they hold very, very sensitive data that people want to get their hands on, and that data is worth a lot of money to the wrong people. It accounts for approximately 18 to 20% of all cyber attacks. Web application attacks and insider threats are particularly common in this industry, which again are very, very scary attacks. Healthcare organizations face significant cybersecurity risks, and they have for a very long time. The healthcare sector has actually been the most attacked space since 2009. According to some reports, healthcare accounts for 20% of all cyber attacks. This is super interesting. The average cost of a data breach in healthcare reached almost $11 million in 2023, which is the highest amongst all industries. The main job they have is to drive the company forward in terms of growth. So I think it's good that they have a balanced view on innovation versus cybersecurity when it comes to IT budgeting. Now, again, you could have all the innovation in the world, but if you don't properly allocate for cybersecurity, you get hit with a piece of ransomware. What's all that innovation worth if you have to pay it all back to ransomware hackers? So I think it's important that C-suite have balanced views when it comes to allocating budget between cybersecurity and other areas of the IT department that can lead to more innovation in the company. So if all of this stuff sounds super confusing and you're not even sure where to start, no problem. You are not alone. You are so not alone that I actually just made a video about it, answering all the questions that you might have when it comes to IT budgeting. You can watch it. I'll link it right up here. 2025 is coming right around the corner. Now is an awesome time to do this. So I'd highly recommend that you go check that video out. If you feel like you've gotten a good handle on your IT budget in the past, costs just keep coming in from every which way. Don't worry. You're not alone, but it actually shouldn't be that way. Down in the description, I'm going to leave a link where you can book a call with me. On that call, we'll be able to take a look at what's going on with your organization, what you've tried to do in the past, what did work, what didn't work, and ultimately work to get you the answers that you need so you don't have that problem anymore. Because again, it shouldn't be that way. IT should be something that just kind of runs on its own and you don't have to worry about it. So if that's not the way it happens at your organization, again, go down to my description, book a call with me, and we'll figure it out for you.